In a segment where customer preference is highly influenced by reliability and durability, it's hard to convince people out of the usual suspects such as Toyota and Mitsubishi, but this one right here will make a good contender. This is the all-new 2022 Isuzu MUX LSE 4x2. That's a mouthful. Today I'm going to show you around this car and I'm also going to give it a test drive, so stay tuned. Isuzu finally does not only have reliability backing up its name, but they finally upped their game and made this MUX just stunning. This is finished in this Marrakesh Brown, which really does complement the look of the car. At the front, you have what Isuzu calls the World Cross Flow grille with a lot of chrome on it and a lot of wavy lines that really make it very stylish looking. You have the signature arrow DRLs on this one for your LED headlights, and you also get fog lights down below. On the side, the Isuzu MUX does not disappoint either. You get a really strong and aggressive line that runs all across from the front of the car towards the back, more accent lines down below, a slightly sloping roof line, or at least that's how it looks like because of the shape of these rear quarter windows. For the longest time, the Ford Everest reigned supreme when it comes to rim sizes and weighting depth. The Isuzu MUX has finally caught up. Now you get 20-inch rims on the top two trims, the LSE 4x2 and the 4x4. The lower trims get 18s, and you also get a similar weighting depth of 800 millimeters, more than enough for all our floods. At the rear, the Isuzu MUX really does set itself apart from the rest of the competition. How's that so? Well, they finally got rid of any trim here down the middle. Instead, they just give you the huge Isuzu badge right there. It looks really nice, and that is also flanked by these beautiful and aggressive looking tail lamps, which makes this back part look a little bit like a mantis. I'm liking that look. Up top is a small winglet. You also have a reverse camera over here with parking sensors down below. You get a power tailgate for this trim and the above. And over here, you're looking at over 300 liters of space if you do have these rear seats up. One cool thing about it though is that you can also adjust it with recline, which is quite rare for the rearmost seats. If you do fold down these rear seats, so you're looking at over 1,100 liters of space. For some additional niceties here at the back, you do get this tiny light right here, a 12-volt outlet. And what I really love is that in a lot of SUVs, well, you have this cover right here which you can open, but this one, it has the same, but it's even carpeted down below. That is pretty good attention to detail from Isuzu's part. Entering the all-new Isuzu MUX, you check the door thud, and it sounds quite reassuring. And once you're in here, first, when you do start the car up, you do get push button start. The materials that just wraps you around in this cabin is just very premium feeling. From your dashboard, which is covered in this soft touch leather, to your steering wheel, which is also really soft leather, and to your seats, which look quite premium, you will feel as if you are in a much more expensive class of car. To the center is a 10.1-inch touchscreen, which also comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and a 15-band equalizer with time correction. Pretty amazing stuff. The steering wheel, multi-function with a bunch of chrome on it. Again, the leather is quite soft. Then you also get your adaptive cruise control buttons to the right and volume controls on the left. It is both tilt and telescoping, and then once you do go onto your instrument cluster, that could get a little bit dated looking. So there is a center screen. It's a trip computer, but the gauges that do flank it, the speedometer and tachometer, it's a bit decade old looking. For your other toys in here, you do get your charging port over here, USB, and an aux port, a 12-volt outlet, a place to put your phone. Piano black, unfortunately, which could scratch your shifter. It also has a nice design up top. Then you also get buttons for your stability control and your hill descent control. This one gets an electronic parking brake, and you also get auto hold, plus you get two tiny cup holders over here. What's weird though is that in the Isuzu D-Max, you get a cubby up top here in the dashboard as well as on the old MUX, but they finally removed it with this MUX right here. Now we go to the seats. So this model right here gets 8-way power adjustable for the driver's side, but unfortunately the passenger side is only manually adjustable. At the second row, you'll be as happy as you were in the front because the premium materials do continue over here. And if I just sit back here, I can easily doze off. It just feels really, really premium at the back of the MUX. My legroom is also quite abundant, as well as my headroom, and I have absolutely tons of feet room with this one. It's pretty good. On the sides, yes, it is hard touch plastic materials, but you do get a tweeter over there because this car, after all, has 8 speakers. The center is an incredibly thick, I mean, this is thick. This is a thick armrest right here, and you even have a cubby with like 2 cup holders. You can also push that back if you want to. Now you get your own charging ports back here, so you do get 2 USB ports, and you also have a charging outlet, like a household charging outlet. Pretty cool. And up top you get a dome light with your AC controls over there. You might be wondering, where are your air vents with this one? They're not in the center. Well, don't worry, they are up above, so there's air vents for everybody. Can you see 3 people? Kind of. It's a bit tight. It does really feel tight, but feet room is pretty good, and even headroom is great. If you have a large family and you always want to carry 7 people, then the MUX is absolutely the best car in its class for doing that. Why? Headroom is great back here. This one even kind of reclines, and your legroom is the best. Even your feet room is the best. I kid you not, this is better than a Land Cruiser when you want to sit at the 3rd row. Yes, I know I am 5'6", but even if you're like 5'8", 5'9", maybe, headroom is more than enough back here, and you get like your own cup holder back there. You also get your own air vent. I'm telling you, this is really the best place for carrying 7 people. I love it. So driving the all-new 2022 Isuzu MUX, this car is just crazy refined. I just really did not expect a car like this in its class to be this good. Everything about this car, the feel of the engine, the road holding, the comfort of the seats, including the suspension, it simply is something else. Now, the closest car that I could probably attribute the feel of this car would be the Ford Ranger. And yes, the Ford Ranger is a little bit on the dated side, but this car kind of improves on it just a little bit more, which makes it a really, really great car for your everyday trips and even your long distance trips. Now, we did take this out over here to Tanay, and you will not expect a car like this to handle pretty well, but it is handling pretty well. Even if I was gunning this over like the twisties earlier on, just keeps putting a smile on my face. This car likes corners. You will not feel like you want to puke. You will not feel sick when you drive this car over corners. It is incredibly stable. Next thing with the engine, with all the inclines over here in Tanay, you might think that 190 horsepower and 450 newton-meters of torque will not be enough, but it is more than enough. You just gun this car and it goes. The transmission, not much lag there. There is just a tiny bit of delay, but once it does get into the proper gear that it has to be in, wow, this is really fun. There's just so much power under this. When you do go on over to the highway, you can go on incredibly high speed and wind noise will barely creep at you. There is a little bit of tire noise though from these tires, but it really isn't bad. And even at high speed, it feels very stable and it tracks really, really well. So we're already talking about refinement. This car has wet wipers, so instead of spraying windshield washer fluid all over your windscreen, which does impede visibility, this one will actually shoot the windshield washer fluid from the wiper blades. That way, at no point in time will your visibility be obstructed. This car right here does come with 7 airbags. Unfortunately, it doesn't get the center airbag, which other models have in other countries, but that's fine. And you also have those typical stuff like autonomous emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, all those stuff. When you do get kind of close to the car in front of you, or you just veer off slightly onto the lane markings, it gets a little bit sensitive and it does beep at you loudly. So while that is a bit annoying in the times that you will need it, it does serve its intended purpose, and it'll probably be a system that will save your life. Here inside the city, the Isuzu MUX is actually incredibly easy to drive. I mean, the steering, it is a bit on the too light side. Could be a bit of a downside because, well, there is no steering feel. However, in the city, that is absolutely perfect, because why do you need like great steering feel in the city? You just want it as light as you can. The way it just deals over bumps, potholes, and like rough roads, it's just incredible. When I took this out over to EDSA, and I expected that, well, the bad parts of EDSA would really kill my back with this one, it is just great. The 20-inch rims on this one and the way that the suspension deals with it is a lot better than its competitors with like 2 to 3 inches smaller rims. It's still not as good in terms of comfort compared to a Nissan Terra, but the trade-off for that is that it's a lot quieter. In the city, you get around 8 kilometers per liter. When you go on over to the highway, you're looking at around 17 kilometers per liter. That is about par for the course, if not just a tad bit better. Price-wise, this LSE 4x2 trim retails for 2.1 million pesos. Yes, I know it's a little bit high compared to its competitors, but this car has, well, better tech, much more refinement, and it just simply is way more comfortable. So in a way, that extra difference in price is just you paying for those newer tech and better design. So if you are looking for a 7-seater diesel reliable SUV with pretty good resale value, then the Isuzu MU-X is definitely one of those cars that you should consider, especially if something like a Toyota Fortuner had already been in your shortlist.